home, which is fabulous, fabulous. We made it all in one piece. And I'm not staying back home. So crazy. Year and a half ago, I got married and we bought a honeymoon, right? Which we were never able to take because of COVID, because of everything. So we have this honeymoon scheduled now. What's all this? Okay. Hold on. This is a doctor. Just a second. Hello? Hello? This is the office of Dr. Francisco Cordova. Okay. Recorded message. It just stopped everything for a minute. Okay. So I'm going to go on my honeymoon. And as a gift to all of you, because I will be gone for two sessions. Number one, not going to charge you for the other 2 sessions of the month. Number two, I'm going to give each one of you a free one-on-one session that usually costs $150. Okay. So I'm paying it forward. I mean, this group I think is very solid, but some of my other groups are going to be very unhappy that I'm gone for 2 months, 2 weeks. Sorry, not 2 months. God, no. And what else was I going to do? Oh, and that was also why I did the free session with all your consultants. That was, so I'm paying it forward so everybody feels like they're getting value. Okay. Because I don't want anyone going to any director and saying, I'm in Pat Pearson's class and I'm not getting value. All right. So you're going to get a free one-on-one session. Okay. You're going to get, you already have gotten the consultants free deal. And that thing starts tonight. So if you still have consultants who want to do it, we can do that. You can get them in. Plus, Curtis Hannah, who's been running, who helped Chris run it, is offering, and this is for a vote for all of you, offering to come on one of the sessions that I'm gone and do anything you need about technology. Facebook groups, Zoom calls, any struggles you may have around technology. Now, that's up for a vote. You can or you can't, doesn't matter. But you will have 2 weeks on your own without me, and then I will be back and I will never leave again. No. That's true. But
is it 2 weeks or 3 weeks? Because you leave the 27th of August and come back middle of September, right?
Yeah, but for you guys, I will miss 2 sessions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because you're at the end of the week. I've already checked. I'll miss 2 sessions on my honeymoon. And yeah, that's the story. So anybody, what do you think? You want to go on with just you guys, or do you want Curtis to show up 1 week? Either way, what do you think?
I had a honeymoon question. Where are you going?
Well, 2 years ago, when I knew that we were going to get married, right? And the COVID was like, nothing. I bought a cruise that starts in Venice and goes around Italy, ends up in Barcelona. Nice, yeah.
Okay.
So Europe, first time for my husband. I've worked on cruise lines, so not my first time, but they're going to be fun. Going to be romantic and fun, and yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yay! I love
I
that.
want to go on a honeymoon right now. That'd be good.
You're on a honeymoon right now?
I wish. That was several years ago now.
Declare another one.
Yeah, seriously.
You know what? We're all going to live vicariously through you, Pat. So
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll come back, and I'm in Palm Desert now. I was telling Maria that when I get back, we'll have all you Palm Desert people over, and we want everyone to come. You all should just fly in for dinner. No, we can't. Anyway, so this begins the first week of September. I'm here through today and the end of August, which is next week. And then September, the first 2 sessions in September, I will be gone. So do you want Curtis hands up? No?
What?
Okay.
I'm
Curtis,
anything.
the 2 options are you keep meeting on your own, or you have 1 meeting for 2 meetings, or you have 1 meeting with Curtis and 1 meeting on your own. Okay? Anybody, who wants to do Curtis? Democracy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, all right, that wins. All right, so you'll be in South somewhere. Okay. All right, so we'll have Curtis then the first week of September. The second week, Friday of September, you're on your own. Chris, if you would just get everybody together and, jump in, start sharing. 3rd week, I'm back, okay? And in the meantime, we'll be talking, each one of us, to set up your private session. Okay. And that's gonna help me too. And there's been a lot of things that have come out of private sessions that really move people forward. So, okay, all right.
And Pat, Amanda said she's gonna be in Southern California October 1st. So is dinner gonna be around then? Because she's in New York, upstate New York. So
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Amanda.
there we go.
Where are you in Southern California, Amanda?
I think she'll be in San Diego.
It's a little ways, but sure.
She knows,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll be in San Diego, but like and that's what, a Saturday. But I haven't bought my flights yet, so if I know what's happening. It's
Come
just
stay
a
with
thought.
me, Amanda. Come stay the night with me.
Okay, stay with Joy. Come on in. We'll all have a dinner party. How about that?
Yeah, well, my daughter says she's coming too, so you might have a little one with me.
I love that. Bring her. Yeah.
She's something else. She's a go-getter.
She is something else.
Well, everybody's invited, if you have frequent flyer miles. Okay, who wants to start? Who's got something to say?
Can I go first? I'm so excited.
Yeah.
On a personal level, my son Billy got a hold of me on his honeymoon, and just, I love you, Mom, and it's all cool, and I love you. And I was like, I just blessed my heart after what we've been through with him. And he got to go visit his biological sister and was supposed to stay a few days, and they cut it short because, Mom, they're weird. It's okay. So I think it was just, I said, well, probably not so much as weird as that. No, Mom, they're weird. So, anyways, so we cut it short, and I was happy that he was healthy enough emotionally to see that, understand it, get it, and take his bride and scoot out a little bit early. And that's just another layer of making me feel like, he's going to be okay. And as young as he is, that he was able to, see that and responsible enough, mature enough to say, this is not good for me and my wife, and we're gonna scoot out just a little bit early. So they only got to stay about 24 hours, and they left a little bit early on their honeymoon to mosey on to the Grand Canyon. So it was just a praise that he made a wise choice, and he saw it. So that was good.
Yeah, it's really good. And Joy, what is the line? We're never we're only as happy as our most unhappy child,
Yes,
And
I've heard that before. Yeah.
yeah, and it's so gratifying to get that love from a child that has been difficult or been
Yeah.
unhappy.
Yes.
And so reinforcing that you did everything right.
Yes.
Just took him time. And a lot of times it takes some time to get it,
Yep.
Yeah. So hallelujah. Yay,
I
Joe.
know.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. That feels
So
good.
a little bit of a burden lifted off of my shoulders and my heart. just seems a little bit lighter, and so
Sure.
I'm thankful. So.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
on that note, I may miss that the last time that we're together. My oldest son bought me a ticket to come out to see him in Indianapolis. So
Come see me, Joy. Come see me.
I was going to say, I think I'm there 4 full days, so I think I'll have time to maybe see
Yay.
you and Bethany, if we could like maybe have lunch or coffee or something
Yeah.
like that.
I know
So,
where all the good chocolate is.
Okay.
Really.
okay,
We'll connect.
yeah, we'll
Yeah.
connect. So
It's, Joy, are you saying the last deal of this month or?
yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Let me see. I think I am, I will be,
Next week.
I actually fly home that morning of actually it's the 1st of September.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I will miss that one. So, but it's all cool. I can watch the replay.
Yeah. Okay. But you'll be here next week, which is
Yes.
December. Yeah, December. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Who's next? Jump in. Jump in. Who do you have to share? Oh, we're
Maria, how are you doing? I was praying for you.
Thanks. I'm doing well. I made some significant changes, like committed to house cleaner. I hired a second assistant. I went and printed new consultant packets because I was like, if this is where I want growth, I better be locked and loaded. So that's good. I attended 2 Al-Anon meetings. It was very hard to go back. My heart like starts beating all crazy fast, and I'm just like trying to take an emotional inventory when I'm there. But it's been really good so far, and I'm going again on Friday. So that's been good. And yeah, oh yeah. I was gonna see my biological mom, and that kind of fell through. So that was a little rocky, but ended up being okay. So she's kind of back. She had transitioned back to where she was like her regular home base, but now she's back out in the community again. So it's just a little rough getting phone calls from random people, but that's kind of my normal. And this morning I pulled out my journal from the Peace Corps because I was kind of, that's what happened. I heard this quote, and Pat, we can dissect this if you want, but it said, if I don't pursue my dream, that's actually like a form of neglect for the kids, because really being your best self and like using your potential and chasing after, like it's sort of what's caught and not necessarily what's taught. And that just really hit me like, man, I better get some clarity and start chasing after what I really, really want. And so it was I think it was said in a way, like the last thing I want is to neglect my kids. Like I'm all about being present and intentional, but then it also made me think I need to invest my issue is not stopping to invest in thought time. I think I'm a goer, I'm a doer, I'm gonna move on to the next thing, like check it off the list, action item, where that just sitting in the thoughts, sitting outside on the patio, maybe indoors, sitting inside and looking outside, like actually letting myself dream. And you know what, Pat, I just pulled out your book again, and I had sort of stopped reading right where it was talking about your dream and like writing it out and being aware and what do you want in life and health and career. And I was like, well, I should just stop and do this activity because in the book. It's on page 128, you guys. I had stopped at 127, and this is a common trait of mine where I'm like, oh, got what I need. I'm done with this. So, there's a whole exercise on dream it and do it. And I think I just found myself. So if you want to pray for me, just that I will take the time to get the clarity. But I had pulled my Peace Corps journal out because I thought, what was I dreaming about before I was even in Mary Kay? And I had so much time on my hands when I was in the Peace Corps. just because the nature of the culture was so different. And I was reading it this morning and it kind of triggered, just like I was talking about a horse ranch and some of those things that I still say, but I was like, is that truly what I really want? So yeah, that's where I'm at this week.
Well, here's the thing too. If you really want to make it viable for you, read that section and then go teach it to your people.
Okay.
Because, it's one thing to sit in these classes and internalize for ourselves. And that's wonderful, wonderful. And it's a place to start, but you have to externalize it too. And there's nothing more powerful than teaching something you've learned, because you learn it in a different way. You learn it in a way that puts you on hyper alert in your brain, because somebody might ask you a question. You're going to have to tell your people about it. So there's going to have to be some clarity of thought. There's going to have to some sequencing. I mean, it's all there. I mean, you could read it if you wanted to, but don't. I mean, you read it, you do it, and then with your team, one of the things we're building in all of your teams is a transparency and a united purpose, right? And there's no way to build that unless you're going to be transparent. So I'm trying to read that. What am I talking about? Just yeah. Some of the people that I'm working with, directors, are now doing book clubs. And that's a great little learning tool, because what you do is, if you're going to do a book club, you get a book, and it can be mine if you want that, but you assign a chapter per person. Okay. So if you have 10 people or 12 people, you give them each a chapter. Say week 1, we're going to be talking about chapter 1, and Gloria, I think you would be wonderful reporting on that. Now, Gloria may hem and haw and say, gosh, well, Gloria, this is a team effort. We're in this together, and I need your support. Okay. So once people have an assignment, everybody goes into homework mode. They don't want to get it out, they don't want to fail. So now they're going to read the book and they're going to report on it. And the ones who, you have the later chapters are going to get even more, because they're going to afraid they'll miss something. So they're going to read the whole book. It's a very creative way to take 15 minutes in a Zoom call or a chapter meeting or a team meeting to focus on personal development, which is what we've been talking about. You guys all have heard me talk about my POP theory, POP, product, got to have good product, check, got to have a good opportunity, check. And the second P is psychology. You got to know what you're doing. You got to feel, good about yourself. You got to be able to inspire others to feel good about themselves. That's the missing link, in my opinion, in the training in America. But people like you guys who are here and dedicated to it can add it in, 10, 15 minutes every session. That's it. In 3 months, you will be amazed where people are. Amazed. Anybody got any thoughts on that? Naomi, I see you shaking your head. What do you think?
Well, I was just thinking that I set my book club up a little differently, where each person has like 2 pages from chapter 1 that they're just sharing their highlights or aha moment from that. Just because I felt like that was more manageable for my gals. And we actually start next week. So I'm really excited about it. And I don't know. I just think everyone, like, it should be required reading to graduate high school to have read Stop Self-Sabotage. You know,
Yes,
I mean,
it
think
is
of how different.
absolutely. I agree, totally.
Yeah, that'll be my campaign speech to run for president. You know,
Well, I would give him, okay, I would give him 5 pages though, because that book is so, I mean, the chapters are intentionally short.
okay.
Yeah, 2 pages is too little. They can't get anything in 2 pages. Give him 5, give him 10, for God's sakes, come on. And then hold them accountable, Did you read it? No. Well, next time you get to do 20 pages. Wow. Okay, anybody else? What do you think? Mackenzie, you're looking like you're nodding. See, if you nod, I pick on you.
Don't know. I'm just kidding. No, I think this is interesting because I have been intentionally this year, every month, focusing on an area of life that's not Mary Kay. And so just because, like, especially in your book, it talks about the 4 areas of life and being whole in every area. And, when I read your book, I was like, okay, well, relationally, I feel okay about that one. Financially, let's skip that one. And then career, I was like, I love my career, but that was about the depth that I put into it. And then physically, I was like physical health, I was like, maybe we'll see if that one has to change at some point. And then, how God works. He's just like, and this is the month for that. And, so it feels like every month it has been, God has opened my eyes to a new area to dive into, which is interesting because the beginning of the year, I always like to give a word to my year. And I'm one of those people that actually like remembers it, which is not like old Mackenzie wouldn't have remembered her word. But now I remember my word for every year. And this year, I just so happened to say that it was going to be untethered, but through habits, because I finally realized that my lack of discipline and my abundance of bad habits that I didn't even realize I had, it was causing me to not get to live out freedom and flexibility, which is what I love. And so this year I was like, I'm going to be untethered in all areas of my life through developing habits. So every month has been developing new habits, which if you don't like, I'm reading Atomic Habits. I have it right here, which I've had forever. And I was like, I guess I'll read it finally. So this has been really helpful. But I like how when you develop a new habit, you automatically discover the bad habit that you've been living in, because you don't develop a new habit without canceling out an old habit, I've learned. And so that has been very interesting. But the thing that I've been thinking about this week is it's like every month I feel like I master an area and then I move on to the next. And then it's like I have short-term memory loss. And I almost forget what I was doing the month before. So it's like, ooh, mastered that habit. That feels good. What's next? And then I start defaulting again. Does that make sense? And only a few of the habits have stuck hardcore. So how do I close the back door is what we say in Mary Kay with her unit. How do we close the back door? How do I close the back door on these habits?
Well, okay. I mean, the terminology I would use is that you start down a path you want, and then you hit a block, a resistance. We all have resistance, and then you sabotage. So that'd be my terminology, but same deal. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
So, okay. How do you turn around sabotages? Well, number one, you acknowledge them. I wanted to go to the gym 3 times a week, and last month I went twice. Oops. Didn't live out that commitment. Okay. So I see it. I'm admitting it. Okay. So getting out of denial or getting out of resistance about it is huge. Okay.
Yes.
Because we deny, we put off, we procrastinate, we don't want to look at it. But finally, when we say, okay, mirrors up, I see it, I did it. Okay, now, then the choice becomes, what do I want to do different? You know, is this a habit or a activity that I really want to do? And if it is, if the answer is yes, it's a series of questions, then you need to pivot and come up with a new I choose statement. The pivoting is directing your energy in a different way. The I choose statement is making you accountable again for that decision. You know, I choose every morning to put on my running shoes and have that be the first thing I do. I choose to renew my membership at the gym. I choose to pick up the phone from 9 to 10 and call 10 people and try to book them for a facial. I choose, you know, it's whatever, you know, it's whatever you're saying to yourself that is the most powerful motivator.
True. That makes sense.
And it's what you're saying contemporarily, not what you said a month ago. You know, that may state an intention, but it doesn't state a charged activity.
That
Okay.
makes sense. Yeah.
And we're going, you know, the three steps are dream it, do it, deserve it.
Mhm.
Dream it, have the dream, have the goal, have whatever it is, do it, take the action steps. And then when I say deserve it, I mean, keep it. Once you get it, don't throw it away if it's something you want.
Right.
You know, a relationship, a financial goal, growing your team, selling more, losing weight, whatever the heck it is.
Mhm.
You know, and Pat, I think that I've written that down before in my notebook, dream it, do it, deserve it. And I think in my mind, in my heart, I thought like people needed to deserve it or feel like they deserved it before they did it. Well, I think people think that way. I guess that's a better way of putting it. But when you put it that way, like keep it, I'm thinking of like red jackets.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
that's just.
Yeah. Well, you know, yes, I mean, it's not, you know, it's psychology, it's a little bit gray. They may have to work on their belief system about deserving it before they do it. I mean, and it depends, Joy, that is a great question and one I've been dealing with all this week with different directors. Sorry, I hurt my back and I'm squirmy. One of the things you want to do with your people, if you want to delve a little deeper, okay, is you want to find out why they aren't doing something. Why aren't they working? You know, I mean, how in the world can anybody come into a business, say they're a Mary Kay consultant, and not do anything? I mean,
Can you give us some questions, Pat, to ask them towards that?
yeah, I sure can. Yeah. So let's say you're having, and I would do this one-on-one with them, okay? You're talking to them and you go, you know, I don't know why I keep saying Gloria, but Gloria, you know, I see such potential in you. I see such ability in you. And it seems that maybe you've just hit a little bit of resistance, which we all get, because I don't see that you're really taking action steps to make your business grow. Can you fill in this blank? I'm not growing because. And then I'd listen to what they say. I'd ask them to fill in a sentence. Or if they say, Naomi, you know, I'm just so scared to pick up the phone. I understand. Boy, a lot of people are, you know. So help me understand what's going on in your head. Fill in the sentence for me, if you would. I'm scared because. You want to ask what and how, not why. Stay away from why. They don't know why half the time. They might tell you, you know, they might say, I'm scared because I'm afraid of rejection. Or they might say, I'm scared because I called 3 people last week and none of them returned my call. Boy, I understand that, you know? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to empathize. I'm going to say, I get it. That doesn't feel good. And depending on how, you know, how scared they are, I might launch into one of my, you know, Aunt Ethel's stories of rejection that, you know, you're taking it on. It's not yours. It's about them. They're full. They're not hungry. Nobody comes to the dinner table if they're not hungry. So, you know, you got to wait, put H and F by their names. But let's also look at your mindset, because feeling scared or feeling like you don't want to take the steps, it has to do with mindset. Now, here's another important question. Are you willing to learn something new? Okay. Amanda, what are you saying here? I can't read it. Oh.
Sorry, I just had an interruption with my daughter, and right when you said the question about being scared, so repeat it for me.
Sure. Yeah, I want them to fill in a blank. Okay. I want to know what they're scared about and what they're saying to themselves. So I would, and I don't know. I can't assume I know. So I would say something about, could you fill in the blank for me? I'm scared because, if they've told you they're scared, or I'm not picking up the phone because, or I'm not working because, they're going to give you some kind of reason. Okay. And depending on what that reason is, if it's rejection, I might go into my rejection chat I have. Well, you know, it's interesting. Let's talk about rejection. What is rejection really? You know, nobody can do it to you. You do it to yourself. Let me tell you a story about my Aunt Ethel. Trot out Aunt Ethel. I'm pumpkin pie. Okay. If you don't remember the story, I'll tell you again. But you probably you've heard it so many times. But use it, because stories are how people learn. That's what, you know, gets. I mean, I had a woman on a call the other night. She said, I heard that pumpkin pie story 20 years ago and I still remember it. So stories are a stick. They're sticky. All right. So then I want to find out, okay, well, I get it. You're scared. That makes sense. I am too, to pick up the phone. I get it. But, you know, it's interesting. You know, we can change some of that with mindset. And so here's my next really important question. Are you willing to learn something new? Nobody has ever told me no. Nobody's ever said, nope, want to stay stupid. You know? Nobody has said that. And nobody will. Now they've given you permission. Okay. They said, I'm willing to learn something new. Great. Trot out, I choose. Okay. We're going to change your mindset. So then work on an I choose statement with them, and then get them to repeat it 20, 30 times a day. Write it out, stick it everywhere. Keep looking at it, keep absorbing it. Now you've got some real change. Because once we change their mindset, what they're listening to, then, you know, you basically change their action.
You know, the number one thing I hear is, I don't have time.
Yeah.
So I know that means you've lost my interest. I just don't want to, or I'm scared and I'm not willing to open up to you or whatever, but I don't have time for this, Joy, right now. Speak to that.
Could you, yeah, Joy, could you tell me, you be that person. Joy, could you tell me what you don't have time for?
You know, just, I'm so busy.
Yeah, of course you are. You're a busy, productive woman.
I mean, I have to go to the bank today. I'm serious. I'm not being snide with you. I am serious. I'm hearing, I don't have money for this. I don't have time. Well, it's like, do you want money? And, like put a little bit of time. I don't have time for the Joy. I'm a mom.
I get it.
Like
I
I'm not. You're like, I'm not.
No, I
But,
get it. I'm
yeah.
a mom. I'm a
Yeah,
mom.
I think it's just a covering for what really is going on. You've lost my interest. I just don't wanna. I just don't wanna. I just don't wanna. So, yeah.
Well, okay, I would push back a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
So I get it. You're a mom. You have a lot to do. I'm a mom too. I understand that position. And you're also an accomplished, smart woman who joined this company to make some money, right? You didn't join not to succeed. So I'm just wondering if we could carve out 15 minutes, twice a day, maybe on the phone as you go to the bank, or maybe you chat with the teller, be that person, push back.
Yeah. What has been helpful for my consultants who care and who want to move up and who are in on this is the weekly plan sheet. Amanda was just saying, like she likes to break down a day in the life of a week of a glance, take a glance. So I think I'm not asking some penetrating questions enough. And I also noticed you said something right then. You actually lifted them up for just a moment. You,
Yeah,
I don't know what it was. You said
you joined for a reason.
Mhm.
You joined Mary Kay for a reason, and you're a successful. I mean, you're the kind of woman that does well in Mary Kay, and I understand right now that you've hit a time problem. I get it, okay. But I'd like you, and I think you would like you to be successful.
Ooh, I gotta write that down.
I was gonna jump in there too, Joy, with my people, because I think that's very common for all of us. We probably hear, I'm just so busy and I just can't seem to find the time. And I think my question is always like, I kind of ask them permission to, hey, would it be okay if we look at a week in a glance and just see if there's some places where we can pivot? I know for me, I get overwhelmed sometimes and I think, oh my gosh, I have so much on my plate. And sometimes my husband just says, oh, I'll take this one thing. And all of a sudden I feel like I've got a whole world of time. So, I mean, I think starting with the affirmation with them of the affirmation of, oh my gosh, you know what, when we first spoke, I remember thinking this is a busy woman and busy women get things done. And I can only imagine how much you do, affirming where they're at. And of course that they are busy, because I mean, we all feel like we're busy, right? We all feel like we're busy. So when somebody says, oh, you're not as busy as me, it's not a good thing. But affirming where they're at, but then like really, I think it's two things. Number one, like with any question, overcoming objections in anything we do always goes back to, well, is that really it? Like, so asking questions. So, okay, so if it's about time, would you mind if we looked at your schedule? Are you willing to maybe shift a few things? I know sometimes having somebody help me with my time management is helpful. Are you willing to do that? Oh, well, if it's not time, they'll find another reason, right? They'll find another excuse. And you just keep asking questions until they get to the bottom of it. And I've done that. And oftentimes the question at the very end is, or the answer at the very end is, I've just really lost interest. And that's when I go back to the why of, okay, I get that. If you've lost interest, that totally makes sense. I know for me, it's like, I'm not interested in cleaning my room. So of course that's the last thing I do. But let me just ask you this. When you first started, this was your why, or this is why you started, right? Is that still the case for you, or has something changed? And that's where I force them to like own up to, do they need Mary Kay in their life for the reasons they said before? And if not, is there a new reason? And if not, then that's when you release them. Because if they've got nothing to hang on to, then it doesn't matter what we do to try to work through their time management or anything else. The excuse is time. The excuse is everything else. But really, it's just, I'm not interested because I've got no skin in this game. I'm not really, there's nothing I'm in it for. And that's what we got to break. We got to kind of help them break down.
Well, I totally agree with that. And that's why an intake form is really important, I think. So when you're getting a new consultant, you ask them their why or their goal, or what if the best that can happen happens, where would you like to see yourself in a year? You know?
Yeah, taking it back to that, I'm notorious for writing postcards and reminding them, don't forget, you're taking your husband, on a little getaway, and then there's nothing happen, like I don't see anything happening, and then there's a little bit of like not pushback, like avoidance, I guess, with me, because they think that they feel like they're disappointing me, and I've tried to be very clear. I'm just your cheerleader. This has nothing to do with me. I'm here to help you get what you said you wanted, right? But
Right.
Yeah, these are some great words. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Pat. I got some copious notes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but the other thing is that when you're doing an intake form with them, okay, and they're coming in and they're excited and they've got there's no better time to ask them any question you want to ask, okay? And at that point in time, I want to find out their goal. I want to find out what they want, where they see themselves going. But I also would ask them, I think you're going to be totally successful at this, but life happens. And if you were to self-sabotage, if you were to get in your own way, what would you do? And they'll tell you. They'll say, well, my husband will be mad that I don't make dinner every night, and so I'm going to stop working. Or I'm going to get, rehired and IBM, and then I'm not going to have any time. Or my kids are going to start soccer, and that's going to, throw the whole deal. So they're going to tell you how they're going to get in their own way. And so when that happens, and you all know the ones that are going south, that have been there, been interested, but are no longer connected, that's when you call, I'm sorry, when you're doing the intake, I would say, look, I don't think that's going to happen. You don't think it's going to happen, but do I have your permission that if I see it happening, that I call you and we talk about it? Because anything we can talk about, we can get through. Anything. So they're going to say, sure, because they don't believe it's going to happen. Then when it happens, which it will, probably, you call them, you say, gosh, I was just thinking about you the other day, and I was reading my notes I took from our first meeting, and on August 18th, you told me that if your husband got mad that he didn't have his dinner, you would stop being productive. Wow, you're kind of psychic. Isn't that interesting? Maybe that's what's happening now. And you also promised that we could talk about it. So I really want to thank you in advance for returning my call and having us have a chat or something like that. Yeah, this is when they haven't showed up, they're not working, they've gone south, you know that they're on the verge of just blowing it all out. I remind them of their commitment. Now, that doesn't guarantee anything, but it leverages them a little bit to feel like they did say they would talk, and they did tell you how they might blow it, and they may be doing it that way. Okay, let's hear round robin. Chris Shippey, what do you think?
I'm writing notes like a crazy person. I think it's awesome. I like that Maria reminded us of that exercise. I did read past that, but But it's like, there's so many nuggets in here, this, because it's, for me, this last week, I was in the self-nurturing chapter. What a surprise. And I was reading the teeter-tottering of the emotions of being over challenged and overindulged.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is just because of the season that I'm in right now, because I've realized in the last couple of months I was feeling over challenged. And just, I think going back and realizing, okay, that's now it's kind of moved into that overindulged of the emotions. And, you know, it's then once you connect to that, it's making sure that you're not letting yourself stay in the overindulgence of not living up to your potential and, you know, sleeping a lot, but not feeling rested. It's my life lately. Feeling bored. I mean, all those, just those little things of, okay, you're in that season for a period, but making sure that you're not letting yourself sit in that. And I think these questions help too for us when are we asking ourselves these questions too of, you know,
Right.
like, why are you not doing X, Y, Z, or, I mean, I could easily go back and reconnect to, the why behind, because it changes too. I think you have to, you know, that's the other thing is we talk about it when we come into the business, but then are we looking at it regularly to really connect to it, to
Well,
readjust it?
Some level that why needs to be translated into your goal.
Mhm.
Because that's, you know, that's the motivating factor. And we all get off track. And you're right. You know, with all you've been through, you need to self-nurture. You need to overindulge. But if you stay there for too long, you lose all interest in coming back.
I think that's part of the challenge that when I was reading through this is, okay, like, how do you know that you've been there long enough? Because I'm not good at letting myself be there, which I know I need to be there. But then the other question is, like, how do you know when you've been there too long?
Oh, I think we know.
You do? You know, I don't know. I don't know how you know totally, but I think you can always test it. You can take a challenge on and see if you'll do it, you know? Because if you're in that overindulged, I don't want to act, I'm not gonna, you're not gonna take on a new challenge.
Right.
Or if you do, you're not gonna do it. You're gonna find reasons not to have the results.
Yeah.
So one way is to create a new challenge for yourself.
Yeah, one of the things I do love about the book is that there's exercises in each week or each chapter, which is cool because we can talk about it, but then are we really sitting down and implementing it?
That's the deal. That's why teaching it is important and having people talk about it's important, because talking about it is the first step to integrating it into yourself. And then you have to act on it. You know, we get all this information in, then we have to use it. You know, we can't just, I mean, this isn't just, you know, this isn't just a course. This is an active, functional experience. You know, we're going to learn stuff and then we're going to act on it.
Yeah, and I think oh, sorry, go ahead, Pat. I didn't mean to talk over you.
Well, you know, here's the other thing, Chris. Use the group who loves you as your sounding board. Come back next week with your challenge that you've created and use us to help remind you that that's what you want to do.
Yeah, and part of my challenge is that I'm kind of where Maria was with not being able to make a decision either. Like first one day I think, okay, this is it. And then the next day I'm like, no, I know. It's this one. So, but I will work on that this week for sure.
Small. 3 phone calls, whatever, small, right? And then implement it. See how you feel, okay? Then talk about it.
Small, okay. That's
Small steps. Get up an hour earlier, walk around the block.
I don't think I can do that. I get up pretty early. But
Okay.
no, I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
Put on your tennis shoes, do some, whatever it is, small.
Well, I can't get my foot in a shoe right now because it's in this thing.
What did you do to yourself?
You don't want to know. Yeah, anyway, so, but I hear what you're saying, like small challenges and I'm not trying to find a reason to not smaller challenges of what I can do in the next week that keep me focused and going after a goal.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Remember when we talked about the benchmark treats that we get to do? I have to continually look back at my notes, and I've got it now on my my mirror. I used a lipstick that wasn't selling, and to remind me that when we're at 150,000, and then I've just I mark it out. We did 7,000 last month and marked it out, so I know how much more I need to do. And then when we hit 150. We get to do XYZ, and that has really helped me keep going. Like in the hard days. But I don't know about you guys, but I jump. When I was having hard days, and I was found myself, kind of like you're feeling like, oh, I just can't, not today, And but I thought, if you're like me, I want to jump back in and do where I was at when I was mentally able to do a lot. But like Pat said, if you just why don't you just little baby step it into a bigger step into, bigger and bigger and bigger versus thinking I'm going to go in right now. I'm going to recruit 4 people today, and then you're like that. Not today. And then tomorrow you jump into something else. But if it's smaller steps and then you'll get bigger and bigger, that might, same thing with habits, like little ones and then bigger ones, and cheer yourself on and give yourself a little pat on the back. And, when you've done them for so long.
Yeah.
But
well, I think the key is, you guys, we always think it has to be more. And I think the real quest here is to do less better. Not do more mediocre, do less better. I mean, my want in my career is to work with wonderful people like you guys and to have X number of sessions a week. And that's it. Done, dusted, might do a free seminar every now and then to generate some new business. But I'm not going back to where I was 20 years ago and flying all around the country and showing up at conventions and doing stuff that's hard and difficult, travel that I don't want to do, because I want to do less better. And I think that's the strategy. I think all of us, if we really scratch the surface, feel way overwhelmed, and that's not an energy we want to live in. So maybe for the next week, and I don't have the answers for every one of you because every one of you has a different life, but think about, how can I do less better rather than doing more? And we can try to generate some answers. But when
I love that.
yeah, when you're exhausted, the idea of coming back in, and like you said, Joy, at your maximal energized peak, is unsustainable. Can't do it. It's not gonna happen. You're gonna have to walk it up, and maybe curve it a little bit. One of the things I think is if we get your teams more energized with personal development and other things, talking about the more they talk about themselves at meetings, the more bonded to you they will be. Okay. Keep that in mind. I know you have to focus on product and I know you have to focus on opportunity, but it's not the sexy stuff. The sexy stuff is them talking about them, learning something, getting close to each other, maybe pairing them off to talk about some of these things. The more you can create that cohesion in a group, the more they'll stay, the more they'll do, the more they'll learn. Okay. So that wouldn't take a lot, trot out some of the stuff we've been talking about and talk to them about it. It's new stuff to them, get them talking about it. And that's in some sense doing less better, because if you got the people that you already have more productive, what would that do? It would do huge. I mean, everybody I've talked to has only 2 to 5 people who are working, and they have groups of 40 to 100 or whatever they have. So all that weight that's out there, human womankind that needs to be stirred, right, baby? That needs to be stirred. Let's get them stirred up. Hi, aren't you adorable?
I know.
Yeah,
Look
you
at those eyes.
Hello. So that's my 2 cents for that one. Think about less better. How do I do less better? And I'll give you one of the clues of that is you get other people to do stuff. That's how you do less better. You don't all take it on all yourself. It's not all your responsibility. It is a team. And how do you do that? You assign them. You become school. Everybody went to school. This is your homework. This is your homework. You report. You assign them. Then when they do it, yay! Way to personal development. Yay, you did it. Make them feel important. Mary Kay's motto. Okay. Any thoughts? Kinsey, seeing your head nod. Maria, what are you thinking? Let's hear from you. Kinsey?
Yeah, I think it's all great. I love do less better. I love that with all my heart. And I love delegation. I've been working on I have somebody to delegate, and now I'm trying to figure out how to figure out what I've been doing to even teach her how to do it. When you bring on an assistant, it's well, this is what I've been doing and I do it mindlessly at this point. So then it's okay, how do I stop mindlessly doing it to say this is actually what I'm doing so you can do it, and not, because at the moment she's here once a week to help me with stuff, but I'm not doing other things yet because I'm trying to help her see what it is that, does that make sense? So yeah. The do less better, I'm I receive this, I embrace it, we're going to figure it out because I don't want to do these things, but I also don't want to go on autopilot and things get sloppy, which is, something I always have to be aware of. So,
yeah. Well, doing less better almost always means delegating.
Yeah.
And it always means getting other people involved. If one of your goals is to make more money and have a more successful unit, then those unit members have better be involved.
Yeah.
And if they're not, we're not playing on the same team.
Right. Yep.
Maria, have some thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love the message, and I think it aligns very much with, even being in the James area, that, I'd rather go recruit incredibly quality, like with clarity of who I'm looking for, than add 20 random people to my team. Is that I'd rather just attract ambitious women that are hungry for more. So,
Yeah.
and I was relating a lot when we were having the time conversation. It was a really good aha for me, because sometimes like if they just say they don't have time, I just am like, oh, obviously she's not valuing how amazing Mary Kay is, and I just move on, where I think I have missed an opportunity of being willing to dig. But I kind of went through a season of just like not coaching my people because I didn't want to engage emotionally with them. So now I'm on the other side of being willing to have some of those conversations, but also setting some boundaries of like, they also have to show up and be willing. And if they're not willing to map out a weekly plan sheet, or they don't want to make this work, then that's okay too, to release them. So I think when we were walking through that time management conversation, I just kind of caught like, oh man, I used to just be like, oh, she doesn't have time. Okay, next. Like, even though I love women in my unit and I do see potential in them, sometimes it's just a matter of releasing people too, because they've got to want it.
I think that push-pull is very important.
Yeah, and being okay again comes to me just stopping and taking the time to really pray over those people and just trusting my intuition with it, versus just, hey, some stuff you got to let lie, and that's okay too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's where the rubber meets the road. It's sometimes hard to assess who really can be inspired and who's just dead weight. And dead weight's fine, and they can stay in the unit, and they're there for self-esteem issues. They're there because they love being with you, but they're never going to go for it. Okay. And I do think there has to be a critical way of assessing that. And of course, it's based on behavior and it's based on activity, but it's also based on what they say they want. And, I would be working with them on what they say they want and really holding up the mirror. You want this, you're not doing it. I'm here to help you. Let's start with mindset. Okay? Turn it around. Is there something in your brain that is stopping you from getting what you want? I don't know that anybody doesn't understand that. I mean, I've taught this to 14-year-olds and they get it. They go, yeah, I want a boyfriend, but I'm afraid that they won't like me because I'm too skinny or something. I mean, people get it. And once they say it, then you got that kernel that you can work with. So don't give up on them until they give up on themselves. Okay? But once they give up on themselves, bye-bye. Yeah. Don't do more for them than they're willing to do for themselves. Because if you do, that's a rescue. We've been over that, and it will blow up in your face. That's where it gets interesting with people, you never quite know. Okay, so Amanda, have anything to say? Neil?
I was
Good.
just gonna in on that, just because I think one of the best things I've learned this year with systems, and I learned it from Brianna Gossett and from Brianna Goodwin, is that time you invest in that initial appointment in really finding out where they're at. And I know things change in Mary Kay when when people come in and they really get a taste of what Mary Kay is, they can change, something can catch fire later. But if there's a flame or even a spark lit ahead of time, it allows you to go back to that, always to go back to the spark, always to go back to the, why are you here? And, majority of women are not Mary Kay, but you are. So you said yes. So what is that about? Like what is that made you say yes? And those questions, I've incorporated your questions into, I posted, I'm not sure if you saw, Pat, I posted the template that I took from Brie Goodwin on, and I think Brie Gossett also probably had feedback on this. These are just our Mary Kay friends that, that really was on how, you know, they do their business planning and orientation with people, setting the tone that it's a business first. But obviously, you know what? We're in a business with people. This is a personal business. And so life's going to happen. So I've intertwined with, thanks to you, Pat, the questions of, you know what, there's things that sometimes I know I do to set myself up for kind of procrastination, or, you know, things I do to self-sabotage. What would you say would be your thing? And then once they've put it out there, you know, do we have permission do I have permission to kind of call you out on that when I see it's happening? Can I remind you of the path you're going down so that maybe we can just redirect and get you back on the right path? And if they're willing to do that, then if it turns out to be just you know what, I was excited in the beginning, but I lost interest, then you can release them faster, Maria, because you'll get that information. You'll get that vibe right off the bat. You know,
Amanda, it's the same thing you do in couples counseling. One of the things you do in couples counseling is you find out what was the romantic spark that brought you together. You know, and if people can, both men and women can recall and talk about with energy and excitement what that spark was, then that is a foundational moment to move them through the conflicts they may be having. It's the same thing. You know, there is a passionate connection. There's an excitement. You're when you first meet them, when they're first in, everything's possible. Maybe they dream too big, but they do dream. And the data shows 6 weeks in is when they start having the doubts. Okay. That's the time to start checking in with them. Start talking to them about it. But if you have that information already, you have information to use. If they're gone on 6 months or a year, it's difficult. I'm not saying they won't come back, but it's much more difficult. Like anything, you know, you intervene early. Okay, guys, I'm talking.
You too.
All right, so next week we're on for our regular meeting, okay? Then the next week, Curtis will be in, and then the next week after that, Chris is going to be leading the deal. You all talk. Then the third week of September, I'm back, and in the process, I'll be setting up when I'm back, because I'm overwhelmed now. But when I get back, I will be setting up individual appointments with each one of you, absolutely gratis. Will take a lot of time. I'll get to know you. I mean, not that I don't know you some, but it'll be even better. Okay, we good?